Hello everyone, it's Miss Hannah and I'm back again for our bedtime stories. Tonight I have a friend with me. Can you see my friend? He's right back there. And he's the subject of our story time tonight. Tonight we're going to read stories about cats, just like my little friend Finn. So, without further ado, let me get started with our story time. So, my very first story tonight is going to be about Niblet and Ralph. This is Niblet and Ralph. Sorry, I have a little bit of an issue with my light. Anyway, Niblet and Ralph, Zechariah Ohora. And it says, sometimes a new friend is closer than you think. It says, Lost Cat, Niblet, Buzzdella Apartment 2B. And on the back end it says, Missing Cat Ralph, Buzz Gemma. Now, Niblet and Ralph. Let's see. Got the little kitties there by Zechariah Ohora. And this book, we are reading it with permission from Penguin. This is Gemma and Ralph. This is Dilla and Niblet. They all live in the same building. 2 of them know this, but 2 do not. Can you guess who does know? Hey, Finn. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. You guessed it, Ralph and Niblet. They talk together on the phone all day. Meow, 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 meow. When they run out of things to say, they share the sun. They're sharing the sun there, and they're in their own apartments. One day, Ralph found a way to visit Niblet. He hopped in a pair of pants. Skink, skink, skink. And Niblet found a way to visit Ralph. Shoo! Mom, we're going to be late. Except when Niblet got to Ralph's, no one was home. I'll just wait for Ralph, he thought. Now when Ralph got to Niblet's, nobody was home there either. He probably just stepped into the litter box, thought Ralph. When Gemma came home after school, she scooped up Ralph to hug him. But Niblet did not want to be hugged. And when Dilla came home from school, he got out Niblet's favorite toy. But Ralph did not want to play. There was something not quite right about Ralph. Gemma decided to run a test. She put headphones on Ralph, and she played his favorite song, but Niblet hated it. This is fake Ralph, Gemma shouted. Ralph has been cloned and replaced. Maybe he's just tired, yawned her dad. It's time for bed. Dilla knew there was something off about Niblet, so he tried a little experiment. This is not Niblet, he shouted. Niblet loves chips, and this cat does not. Cat goes, sniff, sniff. You think someone snuck in here and replaced Niblet with another cat? Laughed his mom. Time for bed, Detective Dilla. All night Gemma wondered what had happened to Ralph, and all night Dilla wondered about what had happened to Niblet. Could it have been a cat burglar? Taken away by birds? Lost in a tree? Abducted by aliens? A dog? A robot? Fake Ralph was nice enough, but Gemma missed the real Ralph. Her dad was not convinced he was gone. It was time to take matters into her own hands. Missing cat, Ralph, Buzz Apartment 2A. Dilla liked not Niblet, but he missed the real Niblet. His mom didn't believe that Niblet was missing, so it was time to investigate. Lost cat, Niblet, Buzz Apartment 2B. Gemma looked everywhere for Ralph. Dilla did the same for Niblet, until... Bang! Not Niblet! You mean fake Ralph? Yelped Gemma. Fake Ralph! You mean not Niblet? Asked Dilla. Finally, the mystery was solved. Back home, Dilla and Gemma met in the hallway with Niblet and Ralph. Niblet was so happy to see Dilla he didn't mind being hugged. Niblet! Ralph was so happy to see Gemma, he leapt straight into her arms. Gemma and her dad invited everyone over for dinner. Now everyone was where they belonged. Together. The end. Now, I have another book for you guys. This book, I know you guys love this cool cat. In fact, this is one of my favorite cats. And this is a book that is a relatively new book. Not brand new, but relatively new. We have Pete the cat and his magic sunglasses. And this one's read with permission from Scholastic. So, we start out here with Pete riding his skateboard down the street. So we have Pete here, and it is Pete the cat and his magic sunglasses. It's illustrated by James Dean, and the story is by Kimberly and James Dean. So we start out here with poor little Pete. It says, Pete the cat did not feel happy. Pete had never, ever, ever, ever been grumpy before. Pete had the blue cat blues. Then, as if things were not bad enough, along came Grumpy Toad. Grumpy Toad was never happy. He always wore a frown. Does it look like he's wearing a frown today, though, friends? It doesn't to me. Let's see. But Grumpy Toad was not grumpy today. He said, "These cool blue magic sunglasses make the blues go away. They help you see things in a whole new way." So Pete, he put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and he looked all around. Right on! The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining. I'm feeling all right. Pete thanked Grumpy Toad for the cool blue magic sunglasses. He went on his way, and soon he saw Squirrel. Squirrel did not look happy, and Pete said, "What's wrong, Squirrel?" "I'm so mad. Nothing is going my way. I only found one acorn today." He looks very sad. And Pete said, "Try these cool blue magic sunglasses. They help you see things in a whole new way." Squirrel put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and he looked all around. "Awesome! The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining. I'm feeling all right." Pete said goodbye to Squirrel and he continued on his way. Soon he saw his friend Turtle. Turtle did not look happy. "What's wrong, Turtle?" Pete asked. "I'm so frustrated. Nothing is going my way. I'm all upside down today." There he is. Pete said, "Try these cool blue magic sunglasses. They help you see things in a whole new way." Turtle put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and he looked all around. Far out! The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining. I'm feeling all right. Pete kept rolling along until he saw Alligator. Alligator did not look happy either. "What's wrong, Alligator?" Pete asked. "I'm so sad. Nothing is going my way. No one wants to play with me today." Pete said, "Try these cool blue magic sunglasses. They help you see things in a whole new way." Alligator put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and looked all around. "Rockin'! The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining. I'm feeling all right." Pete was rolling along and feeling all right when suddenly he fell back. Shoo! The cool blue magic sunglasses went crack. Uh-oh, Pete didn't know what to do without his sunglasses. Well, Just then, Pete looked up at the tree. Wise old Owl said, "Pete, you don't need magic sunglasses to see things in a new way. Just remember to look for the good in every day." Pete looked around without his sunglasses. Too cool! The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining. We're feeling all right. And then Pete rolls off on his skateboard. And that's the end. Now, I have another book for you guys, another kitty cat book. And this one is called I Don't Know What to Call My Cat. And this book is by Simon Phillip and Ella Bailey. All right, so we are going to open this guy right on up here. And this one's, we are reading this guy with permission from Houghton Mifflin. I don't know what to call my cat. Look at that cute little guy with his umbrella. I have a new cat. She turned up on my doorstep one day, looking hungry. She obviously liked the dinner I gave her because she stayed ever since. Does that look like she enjoyed the dinner? She's got her tongue sticking out and she's got a frowny face. That normally means bleh. That's fine. I like cats. There's just one tiny problem. I don't know what to call my cat. I thought Kitty would be just right. Here, Kitty. It wasn't. It called all the neighborhood cats. Then I tried Princess High and Mighty. That kitty does not look happy, do they? But she didn't seem to like the dress. She went and hid. I tried out more. I tried Pat, Lorraine, Tricia, Ethel, Tracy, Jane, Betty. Well, they're all good names. But not for a boy. Survey, boy, girl, boy. And he's licking a little lollipop. And we've got all these really cool pictures back here. You see all those? Those are really cool pictures. This is a very cool book to look at. I tried hard to think of a name for a boy cat. Butch, Rambo, Arnie, Rocky. None of them were right. Then I tried Mr. Maestro. My cat seemed to like it too. Look at him, he's playing his little violin. He liked it until I joined in. And he doesn't look happy. Where had he gone? I looked and looked, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Not even at the zoo. So I gave up. There was nowhere else to look. Maybe he would have stayed if I'd have thought of the right name. I missed my cat. But the pet that followed me home from the zoo cheered me up. That's our pet. And it turns out Steve was really easy to name. Look, he signed his own picture, so it was really easy to name. Never mind, he was a bit moody. Our days out together were lots of fun, even when Steve was a little naughty. Yet I did sometimes have the feeling we were being watched. Can you see? Here, I'm going to try to turn this right. Can you see where they're being watched? Can you see? Whoop. Now, everything went perfectly until the day we had unexpected visitors. One of them looked a little familiar. I'm not sure why Steve had to leave so quickly. Bureau for Naughty Animals, BNA. But the good news is my cat came back. He had a new collar and a name. Tricky. Well, I guess that fits. He was very tricky to name. And maybe one pet at a time is best for everyone. At least for this little girl. The end. myself, I don't know what to call my cat. Now, guys, I know we've already read 3, and if you have to go, I understand. But I wanted to read one more. I know that our schools normally tell us we need to read for 20 minutes a day, right? So I wanted to read you one more book. This one is also about kittens, but it's also about a tractor named Otis. It's called Otis and the Kittens, and this one's by Lauren Long. Can you see that book? Look at those cute little kittens. All right, so this one is Otis and the Kittens. And this book was also read with permission by Penguin. Now let's go ahead and open this guy up. This one's a little bit longer, so I understand if you need to go, but this is going to be a cute little book. Otis and the Kittens. All right, I'm going to try to make sure I get this in where you can see it. Okay, so here's our picture. See? All right. It was hot and dry on the farm where the friendly little tractor named Otis lived. Otis couldn't remember the last time it had rained. Farmers all over the valley grew more anxious by the day. Water was in short supply, the ground was hard, and the corn stalks were half as tall as they should have been. Otis spent his afternoons out in the sweltering fields with the farmhands baling straw. Once the load was full with a puff and a chuff, Otis would pull the wagon into the old barn down by the bend at Bud Creek. The farmhands would use a pulley to lift each bale up into the loft, where it would be stored for the long winter to come. When the sun had gone over the hill and the work was done, Otis was ready to sit in the shade and rest, but not Otis's friend, the bull. And there's this picture for you guys. Can you see it? There we go. The bull, he liked to stand in front of Otis and snort and snarl and huff hot air. 2 snorts, a snarl, and a huff. All the animals knew what that meant. The bull was challenging Otis to a tug of war. Otis smiled. His friends were always eager to play, even after a long day of work. One duck wound the end of the rope around the bull's horns. Another duck looped the other end around Otis's steering wheel. The animals then took sides, grabbing on any way they could, and everyone pulled and tugged with all their might. And eventually Otis would ease up a little. He didn't care much about winning. He just liked having fun with all of his friends. There you go. You can see. One afternoon, when everyone was up under the shade of the apple tree, Otis spotted something moving down in the field. It looked to be an orange tabby cat. Where did she come from? Otis wondered. He watched as she ran towards the old barn, and then he saw something that caused his engine to sputter. A swirl of smoke. Otis raced to the barn, with the animals following behind. They discovered flames coming from the loft inside the old barn, a fire. The barn was filled with brittle, dry straw, and Otis knew it wouldn't take long for it all to burst into flames. And just then the tabby cat appeared in the barn window. Can you see her there? I'll put it a little bit closer and see if you can see. There she is. She's right over in there. My poor hands won't work in the right way. With a puff, puff, puddity chuff, Otis rushed into the burning barn. Inside, the flames were growing and smoke was forming a dark cloud. The cat was pacing back and forth, high above on a rafter. Otis chuffed for her to get down, but the cat wouldn't budge. Instead, she stared down at Otis and she belted out the loudest meow Otis had ever heard. What was she trying to tell him? Suddenly, Otis heard a very tiny meow from the hayloft. Meow! And then another tiny meow, and another, and another, and another. Meow, meow, meow. At once, 5 furry little heads popped up and stared down at him. Kittens! As flames blazed overhead, Otis stood on hind wheels, and he stretched to the edge of the loft. To a chorus of tiny meows, one by one, the kittens hopped down. The farm animals cheered as Otis emerged from the burning barn with the kittens all over him. But as soon as Mama counted their little heads, she meowed frantically back at the barn. This time Otis had no doubt what she was saying. How many more were still in there, he wondered. By then the top of the barn was engulfed in flames, sending large plumes of smoke into the sky. Otis was afraid, but he gunned his engine, screeching his tires, and dashed back into the burning barn. Inside, the heat was growing worse, and it was hard to breathe. Otis revved his engine, and one last little head popped up. Trembling from fear, Otis puffed a gentle chuff, and the kitten climbed down on top of him, hopped to his seat, leapt to the floor, and scampered out of the barn to safety. That's our little kitten friend. Now, outside, the animals cheered when they saw another kitten emerge, and they watched for Otis to follow. Inside, the flames spread by the second. Otis wheeled around to see if any more kittens were left. The old boards of the barn's floor creaked, buckled, and moaned. The walls popped. He couldn't wait another second. Just as Otis spotted the exit and raced his wheels to leave, there was a giant crash. The floor collapsed, and Otis plunged into the darkness below. Oh, no! Outside, the animals held their breath. They were waiting on their friend to emerge. Inside, Otis couldn't move. He'd fallen into the cluttered lower level of the barn, and he was covered in dust and debris and broken planks. Now, stuck in the hole with the fire reaching above, Otis could hardly puff. Then he heard the siren of the fire chief, Douglas, and the fire engine. The farmer pulled up, and Otis heard him rounding up the animals. Help had arrived! He knew he'd be fine, until he heard Fire Chief Douglas holler, "Sorry, farmer. The creek's gone dry in the drought, and the water supply is too low to save this old barn. As long as everyone's safe, we'll have to let her burn." Underneath a pile of broken boards and dust, Otis couldn't see a thing or move a gasket, and his heart sank deep inside his engine. The animals had grown wild with fear. The farmer counted them one by one, and they were all safe and sound. He couldn't figure out why they were acting all crazy. Suddenly, the little calf bolted for the barn door. Her friends followed right behind. There's all the animals. See them? Whoop, whoop. There we go. Okay. Inside the fiery barn, they spotted Otis stuck down in the hole, covered in boards and dust. His engine was barely running. How could they ever get him out? Do you guys have an idea? The bull looked up at the rafters and down at Otis. He stood in front of the hole in the floor and snorted, and snarled and huffed hot air. 2 snorts, a snarl, and a huff. The animals knew just what that meant. One duck grabbed the pulley rope and wound it around the bull's horns. Another duck flew into the hole, hooked it to Otis's steering wheel. The bull snorted and tugged, snarled and pulled, but Otis didn't budge. The horse and the cow, they grabbed the rope behind the bull, and together they snorted and tugged and neighed and mooed and pulled, and Otis teetered ever so slightly. The little calf jumped in and tugged and bawled and pulled, and Otis raised a bit more. The puppy grabbed the rope behind the little calf, and with a fierce "Arf!" he tugged and pulled and growled as Otis inched upward. And then came a piercing "Meow!" and the sound of Fire Chief Douglas shouting, "Holy moly! Otis is in there! Hold on tight, everyone! I'm here to help!" Fire Chief Douglas grabbed the end of the rope and tugged, and all together the animals and Fire Chief Douglas lifted Otis higher and higher until he was suspended above the hole. The ducks swooped in and pushed him over the edge of the opening to where they could lower him to the floor. Together everyone pulled the dust and ash-covered tractor out from the burning fire just as parts of the barn began to fall. Look how awesome they are. They saved Otis! Then Fire Chief Douglas and his men hosed off Otis and wiped down his frame. The cool water revived Otis, and everyone cheered when they heard a faint puff, puff, puttity-chuff. It was music to their ears, and the kittens jumped on top of Otis and crawled all over him. Meow, meow. Fire Chief Douglas laughed and said, "Farmer, what say we adopt these kittens and their mama? They'd make a mighty fine addition to our firehouse family." Otis puffed a happy chuff, chuff. He couldn't think of a better home for his new friends. And that, my friends, that is the end of Otis and the Kittens by Lauren Long. I want to thank you for joining me today for our story time. I really have fun reading to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I'm going to read to you again on Thursday at 7 o'clock. And I look forward to seeing you in your PJs with your teeth all brushed, all ready to read again. So I'll see you soon, and I look forward to you then, okay? Bye. See you soon.